So good day, Ian.
Good day, everyone. Making my entrance here. But I had to do it. But yeah, good to be here. Good to take a look at this October month. We have a lot of activities, in my opinion, a lot of things to discuss. And I don't know. I guess, jump in a little bit here.
Let's see
share the
what
screen
are
as well.
the key dates that I've noted down for October in terms of weather, astro weather changes.
Let's go.
And 6th of October, we actually have a new moon in Libra at 13 degrees-ish. And when we talk about a new moon in Libra, new moons are actually very good for setting intentions and sowing the seeds. So you may use this new moon to actually start seeding intentions for projects that involve harmonious agreements within partnerships, because that's what the sign of Libra is about. And coincidentally, over this new moon in Libra, Pluto will be stationed direct. So at the bottom of the chart, as you can see from the screen, there's a red color S for Pluto, which means that Pluto is literally in the skylight, is optically appearing as station, preparing to switch direction. But as with any outer planets that's changing directions, we'll probably start feeling it as we start off October itself. Because I usually give it like plus minus 1 week or slightly more when the motion of outer planets starts slowing down in preparation to change direction. And when we talk about Pluto that's stationed direct in the sign of Capricorn, it's really about reinforcing and empowering your plans for achieving long-term results so that you can ensure their ability to overcome challenges. So during the whole time whereby Pluto was retrograde, you may be making some changes to your plans so that it can really withstand future stresses. So when we move 1 day forward to 7th of October.
Can I say a little bit some business here, because I wanted to mention a couple of things with Pluto coming out of retrograde, and this is what I've observed really often is there's wherever it is in your personal chart, house-wise, we're talking about a cleansing. So be prepared for that, those kind of cleansings to come about, usually, like Donny said, that the week before, maybe like 2 or 3 days after as well. Quite intense stuff, especially remember this is Pluto, extremes. So those cleansingness aren't always the most comfortable. They aren't always as like you can see them, maybe you can see hints of them coming, but they can come like fruit, almost like a shocking, in a shocking manner as well.
Actually, you know what? I'll probably give it like plus minus 2 weeks. So we'll probably start feeling the Pluto slowing down to station retrograde even as early as late September. Yeah,
I most often agree. I see, the most intense activities or happenings usually happen around when it stations to direct or even a little bit before, or a little bit after. See, this is like the most things happen during that, and especially with the new moon, with the in my mind, quite an active new moon with the Sun, Mars in Libra, cardinal sign. Again, remember activity. So there's going to be a bunch of activities happening there, and things coming to the surface is Pluto. Literally, things that have been simmering kind of during the whole retrograde, because Pluto is retrograde so much. They've been simmering for a long time, and Pluto takes a long time. So now they're coming. Now they're coming to the surface. Yeah. 7.
And also, the ruler of Pluto, which is Saturn, is also the next planet to be stationed direct. So it's like you can see this we are already kind of like exposing October's energy bit by bit, and it's like there's a whole switch of energies that's going on, because not one, not two, not three, but four planets are changing directions in the month of October itself. And there will be like a major shift in terms of energy, because we've been going through the past few months with I think Mercury is the latest planet to join the retrograde list. We used to have 6, and Mercury just begin its retrograde 27th of September, and so 6 + 1, 7 planets retrograde. I can see how like it's almost like an inner pressure cooker that's waiting to be released, and in October we actually find that outlet. It's almost like you're trying to pressure cooker something in Instapot or something, and then in October, like the steam gets released from that valve. You can see all the steam just kind of rush out, and you're not trying to burn your hands and all that.
Yeah, I love that analogy. Actually, I think it's whenever there's a retrograde, so many retrogrades happening at once. It's like it almost seems like things are going backwards, and you're like, why aren't they
trying to
moving?
rework something? Yeah, we're trying to like go back and revisit and try to digest whatever that has gone before us, because a lot of things have happened in 2021.
Yeah, and it's in a kind of person, from a personal perspective, there can be like this internal pressure of why aren't things moving? Like I want them to move, I want them to go forward, and now in October, I think we will get that opportunity or chance for things to start moving forward.
And one thing to note as well, like Pluto's ruler, which is Saturn, is already getting prepared to station direct in another 72 hours from 72 to 96 hours from 6th of October. So you can, like Pluto and Saturn together, that's going to change direction pretty, like within a span of 7 days, or within 7 days apart. So you can see we are trying to get ready to lay new foundations, or at least act on those things that we've refined or totally changed or revamp. It can be plans, it can be investments, it can be other life structures that we've been trying to pivot towards for the past few months. Maybe is that you've been thinking for the past few months that you want to change your job, but you haven't got the guts to. Can be one of the manifestation. And then when Pluto and Saturn both change direction back to back within that week, maybe that's when you have the realization that I have to act now. It's almost like this urgency comes up for people.
For sure. I would like to say a couple of things about Saturn coming out of retrograde, because Saturn is a lot to do with, for me, and I've seen it so much happening all around me as well, it's a lot to do with material things manifesting and the efforts we put in. And it's super, like I've been kind of hammering it in every video I've done about Saturn retrograde. It's like, it's really almost hard to be vigilant and put those material grind efforts in during the retrograde. But the more you still do it, the more you still kind of like nitty bitty, every day a little bit of effort, kind of like practical hands-on effort into the things wherever Saturn is retrograde in your chart. Whenever you put that effort still in, whenever Saturn comes out of retrograde, this is the time to kind of start reaping those rewards as well, and so starting to kind of, whenever we're talking about Saturn, it's kind of like not jubilant rewards, but it's like more like, yeah, I did this, and now I can kind of see these things coming together. But it's still like material manifestation, and it's not always joyous, but you will still see the kind of the reward. Let's say the rewards. Let's put it like that.
Actually, Saturn is the only planet I wish it would retrograde longer. Because the thing is that outer limitations are inverse into inner limitations, which I feel that is easier to work through rather than outer limitations. Because when I think about Saturn like turning direct in Aquarius, it actually happens on the 10th of October. The struggle to plan for changing times actually continues, and it brings about, but it also brings upon important innovations because it happens in the sign of Aquarius that will serve our future pretty well. So it's like a double-edged sword. When Saturn actually is a direct motion, the limitations come from external situations in which you have to navigate, rather than when it was retrograde, when it's mostly on the internal levels that you're working through.
And yeah, I like that. Just a couple of things that I've been kind of observing, and I think we will see more. And so some of you who are, into the markets and into maybe crypto and even societally in general, whenever Saturn comes out of it, it's usually some sort of regulations start to become more concrete, and they come out of some sort of hidden. It's kind of like the preparations for these limitations, restrictions, or what's the word I'm looking for? Can't remember. Anyway, regulations. Yeah, regulations.
Limitations, all that, like blockages. Yeah.
Those will usually be revealed around the time, like Donny mentioned, the 10th of October, the time Saturn is in shadow, or, when it's coming out of retrograde. Usually big news, big things coming again revealed to us. So I expect a lot of that to be in markets, maybe some restrictions for movements again, and cryptocurrency regulations. I do see a lot happening there.
And then since Saturn rules over the sign of Capricorn where Pluto actually sits, so it's coming from governmental powers in terms of regulations.
Yeah.
And all that. So shall we move on to slightly, maybe a few hours later on the 7th of October?
Let's see. Up.
One more?
Up.
Yes, because on the 7th of October, Venus actually enters Sagittarius.
Oh yeah.
And
finally.
So much brighter days, I hope, because like whatever Venus is in, we are able to magnetically attract that more into our lives. That's why Venus actually rules the metal copper, because it is conductive and is able to pull in, or at least you gravitate towards certain experiences, and it's in a sign of Sagittarius. And so it's a time to fall in love with positivity, optimism, new prospects that's coming for you, and just everything that makes your life more adventurous that you're gonna embark on.
Yeah, just like I'm really glad that Venus is coming to Sagittarius out of kind of Scorpio. It wasn't really that amazing, with the Saturn also squaring Venus, kind of battered all around, not doing that well.
Well, and last month for September's Astro weather, we did say that Venus and Mars up till 6th of October will be in mutual deception.
Yeah.
So Venus is like shaking it off from the dark, deep waters of Scorpio into somewhere whereby it can explore more. Hopefully in brighter days.
Yeah. What did I want to say about this? I had some. Oh yeah. I mean, now when Venus is in Sagittarius, we're now actually the aspects change as well for Venus, or the Venus, what aspect it's making. So right now, both sides we're getting sextiles to Venus, so that's already going to get a lot easier, kind of relief for us in relationships. And the Sagittarius Venus can be quite adventurous in relationships. It's not only I would say only like super positive, but it's in the way of like, let's say we're talking about monogamous relationships. Otherwise, it's quite very positive. But now I like the way Saturn is coming in, or the Venus and Saturn are forming the sextile as well. So Saturn will kind of dial it down, actually, dial that kind of adventurism down and bring that kind of like more grounded approach to relationships. So I kind of like that in this month specifically.
And also the signs of Sagittarius and Aquarius, where Saturn and Jupiter is, in which Venus will form sextiles one by one with, both are actually pretty idealistic signs. So maybe in October, new value systems and beliefs that's more in line or aligned with your new ideals will be birthed.
So. One other thing along these lines is also, I think, when I was looking at doing kind of research or preparing for this month, I was seeing, because both, like Donny said, Aquarius and Sagittarius are kind of idealistic, and they're also kind of like looking into the future, looking for the big picture. So, and remember, guys, we still have the Libra stellium going on as well. So again, sextiles, all about relationships. October, generally, Libra isn't any way about relationships. So in my mind, also good time to do kind of like, let's say, big picture planning in your relationships as well.
Don't be too afraid to explore. Sagittarius is about exploration, it's about exploring the bigger field, and it's also about visions. So you've got planets in Libra, Venus in Sagittarius, and you got Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius. These three signs are what I call a minor grand trine. So it's like Libra, Trine, Aquarius, and both sextile to what is in Sagittarius. So it's all like very masculine signs, all three of them. So it's about taking some form of action to materialize what's in the future for yourself. Maybe there's a lot of stuck energy up to this point in October, and you're trying to like, because we have so many retrograde planets up to the first week in October, so you've been just kind of holding it in and try to make sense of what has gone on before. And now in October, it's time to finally take that first step. Well, actually, first of many steps forward.
Yeah. Can we bring something? I would love to bring something else in a little bit, because I think that will start to kind of tie it together. Because remember, guys, we have Mercury also retrograde right now. And where it's retrograde is in the sign of Libra. And when Mercury is in Libra in general already, you're kind of, you're thinking all these kind of perspectives. Constantly, I see this perspective, I see this perspective. And this, to me, also is adding to that pressure. Because it's like, oh, I can see this, I can see this, I can go here, I can do this. But like, what is the like specific thing I'm going to do? And when we add the kind of like the twist of retrograde again here on it, it's going to be even more evaluations, going to be even more back and forth, even going to the past and kind of thinking, oh, this, that kind of back and forth game. But now when the retrogrades start to kind of relieve that pressure cooker,
ease up a lot.
Ease up. Yeah. Ease up is a good place. Then, starting to make that, those decisions, those ideas that they're cooking, those perspectives that have been kind of churning, then it's kind of it's good time to start taking actions and ease, like Donny said, ease that pressure.
I think the decisions will probably come in the second half of October, in which we'll cover in a bit.
Yeah.
Because so far we talked about Pluto station direct, and then next one is Saturn, and then we've got two more in the second half of October. I think that will be the icing on the cake. you know, all before we step into November's eclipse season.
That will be an interesting
so,
episode.
so just know that Venus moving into Sagittarius is not a mutual deception with Mars and Libra anymore. So, so Venus will be in higher ground, able to see the bigger picture, and will be probably attracting a lot of newer prospects to us as well. Yeah, because Sagittarius is about something that's like newer, brighter, better days for us. But we need to be more adventurous and look at the big picture, Sagittarius, in order to reap the benefits of Venus's transit through the sign, which is a Jupiter road. And let's move on one day later to 8th of October.
I just want to say maybe one last thing about the Venus in Sagittarius is what I really like, you know, about this is you know, the Venus gets a bit hammered in Scorpio, like I said, and it's a lot to do with, you know, jealousy and
you're very kind.
Kind of,
slightly
kind of like slightly hammered. I'm kind of like dialing it down, but like they're almost like Venus in Scorpio, it can be very much like almost suspicious of things that aren't even there, and that can, you know, always weigh on relationship. Let's say you've been very long in a relationship, and maybe you start to kind of think things are there that aren't really, you know, and then Venus getting into Sagittarius, that kind of more optimistic, kind of joyous way of being in relationships as well comes back, and with those mostly lovely aspects, I think it will be a relief in our general relationships.
And moving on to the 8th of October, we have actually the asteroid Ceres in Gemini that's stationed. So Ceres is where Ian is putting his cursor at. And Ceres has been in Gemini for quite some weeks now. And then on the 8th of October, I shall call Ceres a she because in mythology, Ceres actually represents Demeter, which is Persephone's mother. And Ceres is all about, you know, things like agriculture, comfort, nurturing, all those things. And and it's in the communicative, idea-driven sign or information-driven sign of Gemini. So when Ceres actually stationed to go retrograde on 8th of October, it could be that basically I need to explain just in short what Ceres astrological movements is about. Is whatever sign that Ceres is in is about defining how we provide support and offer care. And since it's in the sign of Gemini, it's really about nurturing others through conversation and communication, which is Gemini. And Ceres' transit through the sign of Gemini is it sees us actually taking our first tentative steps back out into the world and connect socially, which is Gemini, and braving interactions with strangers and co-workers after a lengthy period of isolation within our own bubbles, because, you know, we got to socially distance, right, for all this while. And it is not over, this whole pandemic thing. So it kind of modifies Ceres transit through the sign of Gemini. And now when she's actually stationed ready to go retrograde, I don't want to put a dampener. I think I've already put across a lot of not so great news, but it seems to us that fostering that interaction with other people might be changing directions. So in other words, we may be pushed to have more, pushed to socially distance from October onwards. This could be like we are braving for end of the year, another wave is coming. This could be one of those. But I also want to mention that Gemini is also about differences in opinions and viewpoints. And we have seen since Ceres has entered the sign of Gemini that how many of us are quick to jump at people because they just express their viewpoints different from us. And Gemini is also the media, and the media has been polarizing our viewpoints of like many things, which I shouldn't go into. I think all of us are experiencing like, you know, if you don't believe in A, I got to shame you.
Yeah,
Over social media because you don't believe in, you know, because I've taken action A, this path down the road, and you don't do as or agree with what I put out there. And we see this polarization actually, I would say simmer down a bit as Ceres actually stationed to go retrograde. It's almost like we are backtracking our steps of how we reacted to people who have different viewpoints than us.
I think it deserves a mention, you know, in general, with or without astrology. I think like the extremes where we've been taking in I think it's so easy to drop into those kind of camps or like one camp. And here is the more kind of mainstream camp of whatever you want to put there, and this is the other kind of alternative camp. And it's for me, you know, I think Donny, you know, associated with Ceres. I don't use personally Ceres that much in kind of the general astrology. In my mind, it's a lot to do with still the Uranus and the Saturn kind of square that's been ongoing, and those extremes that have been happening. And I want to share really quickly my kind of approach with this is. I tended to kind of drift into those extremes as well, and a lot of those extremes. Why I drifted into those extremes was because I was scared. You know, I was literally that fear of like if you don't do this, we will take this away from you. If you don't do this, we will do. You know, these kinds of.
We can see in social media as well. If people say like, "I've done this, I've taken this path down," and if other people express like, you know, I'm of a different camp than yours, then I'll automatically be like bickering with you, like comments after comments on social media, and then it's like a whirlwind of things. Yeah.
But again, I think my point is still a lot of those extremes come from fear. So fear about, you know, your livelihood, the fear of you not being able to do your work, you know, then it's really easy if those things are already threatened here. Then it's kind of easy to go into that camp and let's start, you know, putting medicine into people, or let's do that and let's fix it really quickly. And everybody who opposes it, you know, sees the different view are kind of like vilified immediately. So my point is, I think a lot of that extremism is a lot to do with fear about livelihood, fear about work, etc., etc.
Right.
And it's a really important time to kind of master feeling those fears, being with those fears, understanding, and then from that kind of more grounded space, start to interact with people and start finding solutions, start finding, you know, smaller communities, whatever it is that you will kind of conceive into the world. I think will be much better from, you know, when there's not so much immediate fear kind of simmering there underneath. Because whenever there's fear, there's going to be attack on one side of the camp. Yeah.
Well, I think because it's like Ceres when it's in direct motion moving through Gemini, and with it moving into Gemini, it actually crossed the North Node as well in the process. Also in early Gemini. So it's like the North Node or Rahu actually amplifies everything out of control, and it literally expands that Ceres's energies for a bit. I think it was back in late August, the third week of August, when the North Node and Ceres met at 6 degrees of Gemini back then. And then we can actually backtrack into like the energies way back when. Maybe honesty can be read as blunt or cutting. And there's a lot of chance for misinterpretation back then when North Node and Ceres was conjunct in late August in early Gemini. Or it could be that well-intentioned questioning, to ask questions as Gemini, can be misconstrued then because of that Rahu amplification. And Gemini is also something very changeable and very multifaceted and often erratic as well. So from probably August, when Ceres entered Gemini, all the way till now, with our minds are just scattered between multiple topics because the news has been just blasting up, down, left, and right. And our minds have just got so much to catch up on that we can't really internalize. So with this Ceres finally station getting ready to go retrograde on 8th of October, we can it's probably like a breather, I would call it, because when Ceres is retrograde, we are perhaps more willing to witness others and allow them to tell their life experiences and stories more. It's not as 10,000 sources of information and then we've got to like know everything and our minds get just so frazzled because of it. And retrograde is also internalizing. So Ceres going retrograde can help us to, or begin to internalize the variety of experiences and those around us have confronted over this pandemic life. And maybe it's time to go through some things that we have thought about doing, that we want to slowly nurture and bring forth, that brings us comfort. I've got a personal example. Gemini is something that's very short and quick, right? So I've been exploring how to use YouTube Shorts, which is very much Ceres North Node in Gemini energy. And I'm going back to explore how it can be built into my channels, my personal channels content in order to have wider outreach in the long run. Mm-hmm. This is one of those. And some of us might be like taking this Ceres retrograde in Gemini energy to maybe learn new dances on TikTok. Can be one of those, you know, fun ones to look at, or study new languages that we've been kind of put off. Gemini is to learn something. Gemini is also languages as well. Or maybe rediscover some surprising passions that we have kind of, that will bring us comfort and joy, but we have not taken the steps to kind of go ahead and expand energy to explore that realm. Just a few things I want to point out there. And I must say that for the month of October, I also have the sense that we will get cozier, which is Ceres' energy, with other people's differences, including their difference of opinions as well. So it's actually a great time to kind of assimilate what we have fight others for in terms of differences in opinions and viewpoints, and kind of bring together like a commonality or common denominator to have a common understanding, so to speak. You may be more drawn to asking thoughtful questions and framing responses considerately as the best course of action, which I do recommend that over this month. And I think the realization here is that we cannot force someone to learn something that they are not ready or willing to learn. And so it can bring, we need to be more patient, and there are aspects in which Ceres is forming in October that enabled us to do just that. we also may realize that we should not belittle others if their choices or viewpoints diverge from our own. And therefore, like a constructive dialogue will become some sort of a healing practice, which is Ceres. And conversation, which is Gemini, becomes like a medium that is restorative, which is Ceres as well. So, as I mentioned earlier, in October, Ceres will form certain aspects in the sky. And the first one would be on the 3rd of October, in which Ceres will, still in direct motion, will trine Mars and Libra. And this actually will help us be more patient, hopefully, because Mars in Libra is one that does not push its energy forward. When I think of Libra, I think of a round table. And this is how Mars and Libra people run their energy. They go around in circles. But then when they go around in circles, they can also see things in a more holistic 360-degree view as well. So when Ceres actually trine Mars and Libra, it can actually help us to be more patient, ask something or rephrase your questions to be something more constructive, more considerate, more sensitive as well, more diplomatic, Libra, in order to know where they're coming from and not just jump to conclusions that, oh, since you're not, agreeing with me in terms of my viewpoints and all that, that means you're wrong. It's very easy to go down that path. We don't need any more division, honestly. And our energy, which is Mars, can be expensed in terms of mutual understanding, in other words, because it's an air trine. It's about the understanding aspect. And Ceres will form an opposition to Venus on the 18th of October. So you may want to, yes. So on the 18th, you can see Venus is at 11, Sag, opposing Ceres, which is already in retrograde motion. So Ceres will form these two big aspects, one with Mars and then one with Venus. Both are social planets. So I really hope what can come out of October is that there'll be more kind of less infighting within humanity in terms of our viewpoints, and there'll be more common understanding. Because October is also a month in which we are also finishing up a Mercury retrograde, which results in an extended square between Mercury and Pluto. And it will finish up in the month of October as well, the last square. And so there'll be lots of insidious, coercive, manipulative information that's coming up. Something tells me that the truth will be revealed in the month of October. And then with this series, Ceres' aspects to first Mars and then Venus, I think we're in a good shape to simmer down the kind of like, I hate you because you disagree with me kind of energy. And we start trashing each other on Twitter, Facebook, and you name it. There'll be more of like a larger and bigger picture understanding, I hope, with that.
I really hope you're right.
Right.
I hope you're right, at least for momentarily. I just, for me, when I see the bigger picture, especially when I bring in a little bit of bigger picture, I don't see it being that before the Uranus-Saturn square finishes or moves into a sextile. I hope really you're correct, and we will get these kind of windows where we can understand. And I mean, there's so much Libra energy, maybe we can see other people's perspectives more easily again, but then this Pluto square comes in and kind of smashes that to pieces. So hopefully that Ceres really helps us. I really do hope so.
Because when I see Ceres' aspects first with Mars, then Venus, there's potential to reconciliate a lot of inconsistencies and also erraticness coming from Gemini's energies as well. Because we've got the balancing act of Libra and then the bigger picture of Sagittarius. to go along with that. So that's how I actually said what I said regarding that. And on the 18th, something interesting is going on. We've got the third and fourth planet in the month of October that's changing directions, which are Jupiter and also Mercury as well. So they're happening literally like within 12 hours apart from each other. And the planet Jupiter will be the first to go direct. So Jupiter moving direct in Aquarius is really a good time to look for opinions and opportunities to take you into the future. So we've got Saturn in Aquarius turning direct just less than a week ago, and now we've got Jupiter turning direct as well in the same sign in Aquarius. So both are futuristic. Well, actually, Jupiter is more futuristic. Saturn is laying the foundations for that, but they are both occurring in the sign of Aquarius, which is a very futuristic sign. So we are laying down the foundations as we are able to see in the future what is in for us. Yeah.
I would like to say a little. Sorry, you had more.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So maybe you want to continue with what's on your mind regarding Jupiter direct.
Yeah, I wanted to really, for a moment, talk about Jupiter direct here. Because remember, guys, we talked about Saturn direct, and Saturn direct is, or Saturn retrograde even, is a lot to do with, you know, putting your hands on really materially and putting in the efforts. But Jupiter, okay, we're in kind of Aquarius here, is still a very material, but still Jupiter. Like I've observed this very, very keenly, let's say. And Jupiter really can bring those lucky things. And especially why I say keenly is during the retrograde, when it's coming out, that like we said, week, maybe 2 weeks, 2 days around the retrograde in the station. These are the moments where Jupiter really brings kind of these lucky opportunities. And when I say opportunities, these opportunities aren't always like, it doesn't mean Jupiter is going to immediately bring you everything, but it can be bringing you an opportunity that you need to take advantage of. And then when we're talking about Aquarius, Saturn also there, it can be of a material kind of economic goal type of opportunity, and you need to kind of take charge and you need to take advantage of that opportunity as well. I'll give you a quick example with this as well. In one of those retrogrades with Jupiter I had, kind of like 2 years ago, it was pretty awesome and a weird one to share with you. But kind of like around 2 weeks before Jupiter came out retrograde, I started having these continuous thoughts of I need to start. I used to be a poker player, so I was like, I haven't played poker in a while. But then Jupiter kind of started messing with me, and there are other stuff going on. But it was like, you need to play poker, you need to be a poker. And I was kind of disregarding it at first. But then I remembered, like, Jupiter is coming out of retrograde. I need to take advantage of this. And also using my intuition during one of those days, very specifically, I was like, okay, Jupiter, I'll just kind of take your good graces and like test it out in the real world. And I just jumped into a tournament during one of those days. I had a really strong feeling I need to play this, and I happened to win it. I happened to win the tournament. And if you ever have played poker, not even professionally, just played poker, just you know how hard it is to win a poker tournament. And I really made, you know, good let's say chances. And this is, I wanted to give you this example to kind of show you that it doesn't have to be poker. It can be something that is coming your way that you can kind of jump into and make use of. And then Jupiter can bring that luck or abundance, what I just shared to you as well, more easily to you than normally. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, when I look at the chart of 18th of October, something interesting came up to me as well. Mars is at 21 degrees. Jupiter is trining Mars. Sun is not too far off, so Sun is also trining Jupiter, and they are all sextiling Juno. in Sagittarius. So roughly around the same degree. When Ian was talking about, the poker, the poker experience that he's surrendering into.
Very well.
I saw this minor grand trine, which is like a trine with two sextiles, and the apex or the output point is Juno in the sign of Sagittarius. I somehow got the feeling that a lot of people will resign from their current jobs.
Very interesting.
Because they are relieving like a commitment or work contract of sorts, which is like Juno's domain. And also people who are in unhappy marriages might be doing something about resolving their situations around the third week of October as well. Because Juno is also the classic, we call it asteroid, that represents like, a commitment, like a marriage partner of sorts. So something interesting there happening on 18th of October. And also, we can't leave out Mercury, which is like less than 12 hours after Jupiter turns direct. Mercury turns direct in the sign of Libra. And if you have been feeling out of sync with your network or neighborhood, which is Mercury's domain, there may be some reconciliation. Or since Mercury is in the sign of Libra, retrograding since late September, you've been weighing your options a lot regarding people around you, be it friends, loved ones, co-workers, or even some work projects you've been assigned. And then when Mercury turns direct, there may be some kind of realization or certain conclusive decisions that you may come to, in which you may act on in the coming weeks, when Mercury is approaching to form its last square with Pluto. So some serious decision there.
Oh yeah, I think, and especially when it's coming out of retrograde, you kind of finally feel that clarity or see that clarity, all after weighing all those perspectives. Just want to say one thing during the retrograde, when Mercury is still retrograde. Remember, guys, this is happening for everyone. It's in Libra. So if a person goes like, hey, and this and that, and maybe I want to do it, I don't, blah blah blah. It goes back and forth with you. Remember, this is more, common to happen now during this Mercury retrograde, because they are weighing those options. They are kind of like this and that, blah, blah, blah.
And also the circumstance in which you're trying to resolve with this Mercury direct day on the 18th of October, the situation could have well been started over the Virgo new moon, I think in early September. Why do I say that? That is because when I relook back at that Virgo new moon, Mercury was also at 10 degrees of Libra in its shadow. Wow. And when we see where the sun is in terms of its position on 18th of October, it's at 25 Libra. That's where Venus was. On, I think, 5th or 6th of September, that Virgo new moon. And then Mars is pretty close to be sitting on top of 25 degrees of Libra as well. So something that was seeded way back in early September in terms of circumstances, it might lead to some kind of final decision making 1 month and 3 weeks later. So it's kind of like a conclusive thing that started way back in early September. This is what I got. Yeah. And also, whatever decisions that you make, you'll be blessed, because 25 of Libra is where the fixed star speaker is. So that really helps to be blessed by the Arcturian or the angelic realms, that they have your back. And so if you're feeling fearful of making certain like drastic decisions on 18th of October, know that at some level, you are divinely guided through that constellation. Yeah, represented, or fixed star represented by 25 of Libra, which is speaker. Yep. And how about 23rd of October then, the next date, which is interesting. This is where the sun enters Scorpio. And we are preparing for Halloween. Coming 8 days later. But when the sun enters Scorpio, is really like where the sun is transiting in terms of zodiac sign, is really where the spotlight is in that part of the year. And it's really about resource management, Scorpio's domain. And Scorpio is really about trusting your instincts to guide you, especially in terms of financial matters. And the last date of the month is the 30th of October. And this is where maybe you want to push 1 more hour ahead. Scorpio, yeah, Mars actually enters Scorpio. Mars actually enters Scorpio, but Mars is still invisible, by the way, when he actually ingresses into the sign of Scorpio. When I think about Mars and Scorpio, because Mars actually rules Scorpio, so it's very strong in terms of Mars's position. And I think the main thing I want to mention is let your actions, which is Mars, be guided by your gut instincts, which is Scorpio. And if something doesn't feel absolutely right for you, let it sit by the wayside and don't do anything just yet until something feels right for you. Sometimes it boils down to timing, which is Mars. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mars and Scorpio really wants that, like, before you take that action, I think research is good. Like even a sharper, maybe direct research is good doing before you take that action, because then I think the action will be really good. You know, I always kind of put this Mars Scorpio as a really good, you know, business strategist kind of person, but it doesn't have to be business, but it's a very good position for doing kind of like these strategic actions that have been researched. Right. I think this is, I like this. So this is a good time for this.
I think I missed out something. Maybe we can just backtrack a bit to 20th of October, because we've got a full moon in Aries.
Oh, yeah.
So it happens at around 27 degrees of Aries. That's where the full moon is. And so I think in short, if there's something that you've been intent on winning, it may come to fruition. So maybe if Ian, you want to have, you know, to enroll yourself into another poker tournament, maybe this full moon might bring something.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying. Yeah. Now Jupiter is direct as well, so it can be
I think easier. By 20th of October, all 4 planets that we mentioned, which are Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury, they're all in direct motion. And then Mars, which is the ruler of that Aries moon, is approaching the fixed star speaker as well.
Just one, I think we haven't mentioned one maybe quite important thing that is happening almost continuously throughout the month. You know, maybe we should speak a little bit, at least a couple of sentences about this, because when I was looking at this, I was like, oh yeah, Sun, you know, Sun conjunct Mars, which you know I personally kind of love, but it's happening in the sign of Libra, which I don't really love for Sun or Mars at all. So I do kind of feel this theme of indecisiveness kind of continually. It's like I want to take action, especially with career. You know, it can be with relationships here as well, but I want to take action in my career, and I kind of like, do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do,
you know, what
in this direction or no?
When I see Sun and Mars, especially in Libra, because when I see Sun Mars conjunct in Libra, there's almost like a sense of powerlessness as well, because Mars is not functioning well in Libra. Likewise for the Sun, because they both are more linked to the opposite sign of Aries a lot more. But having said that, the ruler of Sun and Mars and Mercury too, particularly from 7th of October onwards, it will be somewhat easier. That means the pressure cooker won't be as tough on people for the first 6 days in first 6 days of October. Now, why do I say that? Because the ruler of Libra is Venus, and then Venus has moved on from Scorpio to Sagittarius from 7th of October onwards. And so even if we are trying to do that balancing act or that Tai Chi, because when I think of Mars and Libra, I always think of Tai Chi, trying to weigh both sides of the coin, we can see the bigger picture from the 7th of October onwards when Venus enters formally into Sagittarius, that we will be able to go to higher ground and see the bigger scheme of things. And then the ruler of Venus, which is Jupiter, will turn direct on the 18th of October, like we mentioned earlier, on the same day as Mercury as well. And so everything is almost like culminating or cumulatively building up to the 18th of October energy.
I think that's an interesting place, because look at this, what is happening also here, you know, with the Pluto as well, because you know, Sun is pretty you know, exactly square. Pluto already separating, yes, but Mars is coming up. So it is, in my mind, it's like a, you know, still, you know, the pressure cooker can kind of reappear here for a second, and then, you know,
probably that's when we actually take action.
When we finally explode here, you know, I think this can be one of the areas, like even with the Mars in Libra, even then the square from the Pluto can kind of agitate a little bit, and that kind of, maybe that aggressiveness of Mars can come out a bit there, because it's so pressurized by Pluto there.
Yeah, so why not we skip 2 days forward to 20th of October, because all the 4 planets by this Aries full moon will have turned all direct already and moving forward slowly but surely. And when I think about this full moon in Aries, it's really about reigniting our inner warrior, very much so. And because it's happening in the late degrees of Aries, I mean, we've just come back to a normal lunar cycle. I just want to mention this briefly. Every time when the sun actually ingresses into a sign, the normal lunar cycle would be like a new moon in that sign where the sun is, and then followed by a full moon in the opposite sign. That's how the normal lunar flow should be, or lunar rhythm. We've been having the reverse, actually, for most of 2021 until we've gotten that double full moon in Aquarius. And now we are slowly settling back into this normal lunar rhythm. Just like we are having it in the month of October, we have a new moon in Libra first, followed by a full moon in the opposite sign of Aries. So, and Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So we are almost like, there's this new fresh energy that's coming in. I feel for the month of October. And maybe we're taking charge, because Aries is like the sign of leadership skills, able to initiate things and begin new things and close partnerships. So we may be feeling more of an energetic push to do just that over this full moon here.
The interesting one is because the apex of this kind of like T-square is Pluto. So it is a lot to do with, you know, I would say like taking your power back. Most likely in relationships, in partnerships.
It can come up, the actions that we take,
there.
I think because of that full moon highlighting that Mars and Pluto square, it may be out of paranoia, attached to somewhat of our realizations, mostly of a reactionary kind. But then courage and passion for taking action is also highlighted here. And with that Pluto and Mars square highlighted by this full moon, I won't lie, we will struggle with obstacles, but then just know that there's a resourcefulness that's behind us. There's a huge sense of determination and bravery to push through whatever obstacles we're going to encounter.
I just want to look at this kind of pressure cooker here in my mind. I mean, I can't really see, especially during the full moon. There's got to be a lot of emotional reactions happening there, especially Aries full moon, especially explosive and reactive moon anyway. And now it's agitated by a lot actually here by Mars and by Pluto. So I don't know, you know, maybe some exercise, but even that won't.
I mean, if I were to summarize like October 2021, it is a very special month nonetheless, because 4 planets will station direct then. And it's almost like I can think of planets that station direct after their respective retrograde periods. It's almost like a person that has been kind of unwell and finally turning the corner in terms of their illness and then starting to regain their strength back. Although it's slow, but surely they do that. And with 4 planets actually changing direction in 1 month, and the dates are 6th of October, 10th of October and 18th of October, everything's jam-packed within that 2-week time frame. We will sense such a huge notable shift in energy and forward momentum for the better at that time, blessed by Venus's ingress into Sagittarius for bigger and brighter days. While the shifts themselves from retrograde to forward motion can be a bit disorienting, perhaps also very intense because Pluto is involved in the 4 planets that's turning directions, we will nonetheless see some developments in our lives. And we are on the road to making some sort of progress forward. But then sometimes I feel that, particularly going back to this full moon in Aries, the full moon highlighting that Pluto-Mars square is needed to make us finally say, screw all of this, I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah, I think, I'm thinking about our own kind of foundations and structures as well. I think there's needs to be some sort of decision action taken there because the release here is Pluto and kind of like powerful action towards powerful action towards your kind of solid foundations in life. Maybe career is here associated as well. Take powerful action towards
so life plans, longer term structures, relationships, all those might need to be revamped within this this month because of the 4 planets that's in question, that's turning directions to But I just want
to, go ahead.
I just want to say that both the full and new moon, in some way, shape, or form, it highlights Mars, Pluto, and Chiron, these 3 bodies. And if I were to mush all these 3 together, October is really about intensified actions to the point of experiencing breakthroughs and transformations in the process. You can turn that anger that's been building inside of you into positive and constructive action. But what we mentioned in this session is that it manifests in different ways. And one of the other levels that it can manifest is that you realize what in your life that needs to be destroyed to move forward. And this can be relationships or some hopes and dreams, or this can be leaving a job that you really hate for quite some time now, but you're too afraid to move on. Overall, there are stresses that's around to act on extremely intense impulses. That's what I've read. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much that I love. I love that retrogrades are becoming straight, direct. I don't like I guess I don't like the intensity of the full moon. I think, or I would love it if we as humans would be a bit, better at channeling our emotions and feelings. I think we're not there yet, but I think it will be a good place to kind of practice it. But just be, I guess, a little bit careful during that full moon. I think it's quite an action. Both moons are actually in cardinal signs, action packed with those. Mars, okay, a little bit weakened, but take action, break through, things will finally start moving forwards.
Yeah, it's all about Aries and Libra, right? Me versus you versus me. So it's like what I want, Aries, versus what we want, Libra, or how you actually connect with the world, which is also Libra's energy.
Very well. Good luck, guys, for October 2021.
Yeah. So next month, November, we'll be stepping into eclipse energy. So it'll be interesting. The first eclipse along the Taurus Scorpio axis.
Thank you very much for listening, and see you soon.
See you soon.